Are you ready to find out how to stop being your own assistant in your business, especially for 2026? In this video, I'm going to dive through the step-by-step process of how to get out of your own way when it comes to scaling your business, because in reality, you are your own assistant if you're doing a lot of these things already. The first step, and this is the hardest step, is to audit yourself. Go through your to-do list, go through your emails, go through whatever it is that you got done in the last month, the last week, whatever that looks like for you. The point is that you start noticing what are things that you're doing in the daily, the weekly, the monthly, and how that all builds up within your to-do list or your checklist. Now, first usual typical thing is you probably don't have a checklist or a to-do list in the first place. You're more of a reactive, and that is a pure sign that you are your own assistant if you're just mostly purely on the reactive when it comes to actually running your business. But the first part of this is just noticing. It's just being able to observe yourself and seeing, or basically getting awareness of what are the things that you are actually doing. Next is you want to identify the assistant work. Basically the things that you don't have to be the one necessarily doing. Typically these are things that are recurring within your business. You know, they have to be done daily, weekly, monthly. Usual examples that we have when it comes to delegating something to an assistant is email management, calendar management, information hoarding, when you have everything in your head and you're not writing it down and you're kind of like, oh, I'll remember later, or I'll do this later. Your brain is not made for holding storage. It's made to move things forward, to make decisions, to create strategy, especially as the business owner. Things like following up or chasing up on people, getting your invoices paid, whatever that looks like, you want to start identifying what those are. And then that brings us to the next step, which is basically going through a little bit of an 80-20 assessment for yourself. And this is typically the very first process a lot of our clients start with when it comes to figuring out what kind of assistant they need, is looking at essentially your audit, right? You went through the effort of auditing yourself, separating what the assistant work would look like, but you still need to make sure that you're not going to accidentally delegate the things that actually grow your business. A mistake that I see over and over again is that entrepreneurs delegate the sales call or delegate, the strategy part of the business, thinking that it's assistant work, but it's actually work that you need to do as the actual business owner. So how do you find out what your 80-20 is? And this is basically based off of the Pareto principle, where basically out of the 10 things that you're doing in a day, there's only the 20% or the 2 things on there that actually grow things and move things forward, but the rest of the things need to get done. So you want to identify what that is to make sure that you're skipping the step of delegating the wrong thing to someone else and giving yourself more of that headache. And if you want me to walk you through that process, you can book a call in the link below, and we'll take the time to actually go through what your day looks like and what are the things that you can probably just delegate to someone else. Next is, as you have that, is you want to group it into outcomes. You don't need a virtual assistant in 2026. You need an executive assistant. You don't need someone to just do the tasks. You need someone to manage your outcomes. So what that essentially means is, for example, email management is a task. The upgraded thinking of that is that your inbox is managed and taken care of for when it comes to replies, opportunities, and unsubscribing to things that you don't even have to look at. So you want to switch a little bit of the mindset of like, hey, I have these group of tasks. They're usually going into an outcome. Your social media management, upping engagement, getting book calls. When it comes to chasing invoices and bills, making sure you can pay for those bills. So it's evolving your mindset from just looking at the list that you've done or that you're doing as just tasks that need to get done, to then the outcomes that need to happen in your business so it can keep running and can keep growing and it can keep doing its thing, basically, because you're now shifting to looking at the outcomes that need to get done, again, instead of just the tasks that need to get done anyway. Next is building up your checklists, and that essentially is the bare bones of what would be later turned into a standard procedure or the template or the asset with your assistant. But the point here is you want to start actually breaking down from the outcome that you've written out, what are the steps that need to get done to make sure that it gets done the usual way that basically you get it done. How can this be a repeatable result rather than a guessing game that you're trying to figure out what the heck is supposed to happen next? There is a step-by-step process of how it actually needs to get done. So for example, for the outcome of following following up on invoices, you are making sure that the invoice isn't paid. You're just double checking the link just in case that they already paid. You just weren't notified for some reason. It's making sure that it was sent to the right person. It's making sure that anything billable to them was billed. And it's making sure that, hey, are they overdue? Are they past due when it comes to the work that they need to get done? And has the service been actually really good? So it's following that checklist that for you as a business owner might have been automatic because you know the work that needs to get done. But for someone else to start taking that over, they will still need to be trained to know what to look out for and know what to expect. So then they're not just blindly following what you've done just because, again, for you it's automatic. For someone else, it might be that it does need extra steps just because they don't know what you know. So essentially this step is slowing yourself down a little bit just to break down what this system is, so it's easier for you to train that next person. Next is setting out your daily rhythm, or basically what you're expecting from your assistant to give you, either as a report or something that they need to show, like, hey, these are the things that got done, these are things that are a little bit stuck, then these are things I probably need your help for. So it could be a daily inbox summary where they give you like, hey, these are things that I cleaned off of your inbox, these are things that I responded to, and these are things that are still a little bit pending for your decision or for essentially you to reply to see if you want to do this opportunity or not. What are the daily top 3 priorities based on the goals that were set beforehand? And this is something that I always encourage a lot of our own clients to set the priorities a month ahead. That way for the assistant, they can keep going even if you're sick, even if you're on vacation, because basically you already have a set of things that you've already agreed to on what are the priorities for the month. Next, and this is the hardest step, letting your assistant actually manage you. And this is honestly the leverage that a lot of people skip or don't think about or don't look forward to because like, oh, I'm not going to get managed. I'm the boss. I'm the business owner. But honestly, you need to get managed as a business owner because otherwise you're going to be doing all of the other things that actually is just a bright and shiny object and you don't actually need to get done. And honestly, what this actually means, what this actually looks like is your assistant protects your time. They're not letting in any other opportunities that don't align to the goals that you've set unless you've said like, hey, this is a big, hairy, audacious goal. If it comes in, I'm going to prioritize that. What this looks like is your assistant will push back on any unnecessary meetings, unnecessary goals, unnecessary side quests that don't really help you build towards the goals that you've set. What this means is they chase other people for updates and even chase you for updates so then you don't have to. And what this means is they remind you, not you having to remind them. That is essentially what being managed by an assistant looks like. So for example, for me, my assistant manages me truly. Like we make jokes all the time in the company where she is actually the true boss because she tells me what to do and makes sure that I am aligned to what we said or what I stated would be the goal for the next month. So in a way, she's also an accountability partner to make sure that I actually follow through on the things that I've said. Next step is systems capture. Is now that you probably created a few checklists for your assistant, is for them to turn those into an actual sign-up procedure, turning those into assets and templates. So again, it's easier to create those repetitive results to make sure that, again, even if your assistant takes a break, if they're sick, if they take on holiday break, things can keep going because things are documented enough that it's easier for someone else in the business to be able to take over some of the work that they're doing. And, the buck doesn't have to stop with anyone. It's not dependent on one person because it's already been documented, written down, created as a template or asset for someone else to be able to take over and use. And lastly, make sure that you're thinking of ways to use AI to scale. A question I always ask at this point, basically, you've gone through the audit, you've gone through having your assistant do a lot of things, managing you, creating the systems, is you basically get to the point where you're asking yourself, do I delegate this or do I automate this? Do I add a little bit of AI automation into this, or do I actually have a human be able to take care of this? And depending on the kind of person that you are, this might be an easier yes or no for you, or it might be just a process of maybe having your assistant research what are things that can be taken over by an AI tool. Whatever that looks like for you in your business, the point is that you start handing off more of your own brain cell, your workload, whatever that looks like for you. You're firing yourself for more and more of the work that you don't need to be the one doing, so you can focus on that 20%. Now, if you guys like this video, make sure to hit the thumbs up button right there. Comment below if you have any questions when it comes to how to stop being your own assistant. And if you still haven't yet, make sure to hit the subscribe button right there so you don't miss any of my videos every Thursday on how to grow your business, especially with an assistant and AI. And if you want to train your own assistant, I have my first channel here, and you can check out the latest video right here. Hope you guys have an amazing day, and with that, small steps matters, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.